What's going on, team? Proof here, and I am back with the likely one-off, at least for now, of the Proof Positive podcast. I'm joined today by a couple friends that I've gained over my time playing Vanguard. You might know them, you might not. It doesn't matter because you probably listen to just watch my channel here and there. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. I'm joined by the NexusCorps group. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
In case they're not familiar with you, you want to explain who you are a little bit, give an introduction to yourselves?
I'm Atlas. I'm one of the hosts of the Nexus at Night podcast. And I like Dr. Pepper, which is what I'm drinking right now.
Hey, I like Dr. Pepper too. That stuff is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my second favorite cola.
Wrong. It's the number one soda.
For me, it's Cherry Coke. Cherry Coke is my number one favorite cola of all time. See?
My favorite cola, and this is going to be weird to everyone else. I think I'm kind of like a one-off for this. I think I really like Coke Zero.
Really?
Coke Zero is fantastic.
Interesting.
I mean, it does taste basically like regular Coke, so...
Like, it's Cherry Coke, and then it's Fountain Coca-Cola, and then maybe Pepsi. No, Dr. Pepper, then Pepsi for me.
I mean, the fountain soda just kind of hits different, doesn't it?
It does.
Mexican Coke rank?
Mexican Coke is S tier of its own thing.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. Also, I completely stepped on you guys. Who are you?
Oh, right. I'm Matt. I'm one of the hosts of the Nexus at Night podcast. I am a big fan of the Clans of Dimension Police and formerly painfully Murakumo, but now very pleasantly Murakumo.
Amazing what good cards do, huh?
Right?
And I am Alvin, also known as Root Beer. I just forced my way into the podcast one day and have been squatting here ever since.
I mean, you say that like you are like a tenant who refuses to be evicted, but you're kind of invaluable, so I don't know why you're ragging on yourself so much.
It's called self-deprecation.
Sure.
And I am fond of Oracle Think Tank and Narukami.
Oh yeah, I should probably say that about myself, shouldn't I?
I mean, you could.
All right. My main clan is Great Nature, but I also love Pale Moon and Tachikaze, and I dabble in Grand Blue sometimes. But I've played everything at some point or another.
It's fair.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you guys for joining me because I've kind of just come up with ideas, and it's much easier to talk it out with people as opposed to making separate videos. I've kind of just come up with ideas, and it's much easier to talk it out with people as opposed to making separate videos because I like interacting with the people. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your days to come chat with me about this.
Anything for you.
We love you.
Aww. And today's episode or chat, wherever it might lead us, kind of came up with the idea of talking about cards that disappointed us in the high rarity slots, so double rare and above. And it's kind of came about because of a couple spike cards that came out naturally that disappointed me. But I wanted to extend it over to the NexusCorps guys because they dabble in other clans, and that way they can give different perspectives about cards that have disappointed them over time. My cards are strictly G-based. We can start there. G-based. We can start there, and then we'll probably meander around into pre-V era, and we'll see where it takes us. So I'll start with my first card, and it's the more recent of the two cards that I have, and it's Gunwild Wolf. And for those that are unfamiliar or uninitiated with how terrible this card is, let me break it down for you. So he said he's a grade 3 with Force in Spike Brothers. He's a double rare. And he is auto, Vanguard or Rear Guard, and it attacks Soul Blast 3 grade 3s and put any number of your rear guards on the bottom of your deck in any order. And until the end of that battle, when your opponent would call cards from his or her hand to the Guardian Circle, he or she must call the same number of cards or more as the number of cards put into your deck for this cost at the same time. So it sounds okay on paper until you dig into it.
It does not sound okay on paper.
because when we first got the translation, we thought it was strictly more than what you return back. So if you put back four rear guards, they have to guard with at least 5 cards, which sounds amazing because it plays around perfect guards and stuff like that. But that 1 card difference made this card be decently good to utter trash in a hot second, because you don't want to ride this because it's very vanilla. Even though it does work on Vanguard, if you ride this, you probably lost the game unless you can get the skill off. But that means to get the skill off with this on Vanguard, you have to play it in your deck in the first place, and you don't want to commit slots to it. So then you try to look at other ways to get it off, which is best through General Safety, which sounds nice to turbo your soul with these grade 3s. But then you kind of realize you have to play more than one of these in your deck if you want to try to combo it off with General Safety. And that's not even getting to the fact that you have to Soul Blast the grade 3s, Soul Blast the grade 3s after that, all for your opponent to guard this thing with a 10k shield or a 15k shield, and then they can just throw grade 3s and utter trash on the board and stop this attack from hitting. All because it attacked for 23,000 in that realm. When at the same time, they came out with Coyote, which is the Soul Blast 9 card that we got, which restricts Sentinels and it gains plus 30k power, which when you compare the two together, you're forcing more cards out of your opponent's hand with Coyote, which is steeper but generic, so it makes it easier to pull off than Gunwald Wolf, which is a bad card in and of itself. Did I kind of cover it?
I mean, I was just going to say the Soul Blast 3 grade 3 parts was where I drew the line. Like, I don't even care what the rest of the skill is. I know General Safety exists, but it's like, that's a very obtuse way to get it off, and for what? Like you said, just...
Because you have to use General Safety to get it off, because if he's attacking for less than 23,000 power, your opponent can easily intercept out the way, like use 2 intercepts, and it ruins the whole attack, and you just gave up your whole board for it.
Jeez. But at least they didn't waste an important slot on this.
Yeah.
Oh, like if it was a triple R or something?
Or like an SP or something.
Oh, dude.
hurt my feelings. This card is so bad. I wanted it to be so good that I tried it out. But like I mentioned, Coyote, the grade 2 8K, forces more cards out of your opponent's hand. And they can't throw trash on the board to stop it because it's going to be attacking on average for like 68,000 or something like that, which is massive. And they can 68,000 or something like that, which is massive. And they can't use Sentinels at the same time, and is more likely to end your opponent's game than Wolf would. So I don't know why they put these 2 cards in the same set together when one is similar but obviously better for a lower rarity. Exactly.
I don't have a good answer to that. It just kind of seems like they like, this guy is a wolf and he's cool looking. We should make him shiny. Like,
and also the Coyote's grade 2, right? So it's like you feel fine playing 4 or grade 2.
Yeah, because as long as you have Bracky, which is obviously good to help get you through the mid part of the game, and then you have Ronaldo or Bouncer, whatever you prefer, to call things out from the top of your deck. As long as you got those 2, you can't waste those slots on
like
something like this.
Tech grade 3s aren't really a thing. You have occasional decks where like you run it as a one of because it serves like a very useful if narrow purpose, like Comicality Chimera in Pale Moon, where you kind of need that countercharge, so he's worth it at least as a one of. But aside from that, it's not like you're gonna cram 4 in there and it's gonna work out.
Right.
Like, I think the only decks that would do that are like protect decks, because those grade 3s are oftentimes their finishers.
But that's because they have nothing else to offer before those finishers. In Force clans like Spikes, they have the rest of the deck that can work as a finisher. Where you don't really, Wolf would be nice if it wasn't 3 grade 3s. If it was 2 and like maybe tailor the cost around Soul Blast 2 and returning cards back, it might be worthwhile, but trying to make 3 happen, it's tough. It's tough.
Most games don't even go to like the 3rd rewrite.
True.
Well, not anymore. At the beginning of V-Era, I think they did.
Yeah, so you'd have to play Seafried in order to even hope to get there, or at least play Jugs
or Gyro. But even then, it's still packing your deck with these wolves that don't do much anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll do it for Wolf. I don't want to take up all our time talking about the badness of this one card.
I mean, if nothing else, he makes Warren Zev unhappy as a person.
Who's that?
The guy who did Werewolves of London. So, what, is it my turn or something? Or
sure, we'll pick the order first time around by whoever wants to talk, and then we'll just follow it the rest of the time.
Okay. My next one, or my first one, comes from the Vilist Deleter set, keyword Vilist, because... Okay. My next one, or my first one, comes from the Vilist Deleter set, keyword Vilist, because that set did basically nothing for Pale Moon. And as a Pale Moon fan, I basically had to go from waiting 6 months for support to waiting a year like everybody else. Like some
there were Pale Moon cards in the set?
What?
Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't know there were Pale Moon cards in there.
Like some kind of heathen. This is the most egregious to me, not only because it's high rarity, but it's the VR for the set. This is Bushiro going, we really want you to play this. Please welcome Gun Salute Dragon End of Stage. So this little man is a grade 3 12k with that Excel gift. And his first skill is on Vanguard Circle once per turn. At the end of the battle that he attacked, if your soul has 0 cards, you can put 2 cards from your hand into your 0 cards, you can put 2 cards from your hand into your soul, as well as all of your rear guards, and then stand him. And then also, on Vanguard, when placed from riding on top of a grade 3, you can soul blast all the cards in your soul, and until the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 5k and your opponent cannot call sentinels for the battle that he attacked. So, let's review. Pale Moon is a clan that wants to have cards in soul that they can use to call a board with. What's wrong with this picture?
So if you're telling me if this... Sorry.
The joke is getting ruined the longer nobody answers my question.
What if you just don't kill your opponent, you just lose the game?
Exactly!
What's the problem?
I need you to keep going in order to make my joke, so...
Just kill your opponent, forehead.
Sure. I mean, so Golden Beast Tamer was Pale Moon's first VR that they got in the AL4 set. So Golden Beast Tamer was Pale Moon's first VR that they got in the AL4 set. And it was something that you could sit on because you could use every turn to call a board, and it, made things hit force numbers. So the way I saw people trying to justify this to themselves was that they would go, oh, when you're ready to kill the opponent, you ride this on top of Golden Beast Tamer, and then that's your win condition. I'm like, that's cool and everything, but restanding a 17k attacker when they're at 13k base and then they take a trigger on damage kind of fucks you over. Also, did I mention that you're soul blasting everything in your soul that you worked for the entire game? A lot of people, they're like, oh, man, Pale Moon uses the soul as a second hand. That's why everybody hates Lukier so much, is that you can just shit out a board for no cost. This is literally destroying everything you worked for. And I know that people are like, yeah, but you can use those Chimera cards that came in the set as commons to work with this. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. It's a less than $1 VR, and history is on my side. That's all I'm gonna say.
But Atlas, this card is heavily underrated. People just don't know how to wield it. Does Bushiroad have to publicly distribute the basics on how to use specific cards now?
I actually would like that. It would be kind of interesting if Bushiroad released the newsletter. It's like, hey guys, we noticed that no one's using this card. This is what you should be doing. It's kind of like when I was in high school and I always hated that we would have to guess what the writer was thinking of in English essays or whatever. And I'm like, I wish that authors, about 10 years after their publication came out, released just a newsletter of what they were meaning to say. Like, guys, this is... Okay, people reading War and Peace, you're getting it wrong. What it should be is this, or something like that. Whether or not there's, like, some super secret awesome combo to break this card hasn't topped at all, I'm pretty sure, leads me to believe that I've been vindicated and that this thing was a waste of a VR slot. Rant over.
Also, don't you know that you can just get 12 attacks off?
Please.
Okay, I'm just gonna put a nail in this coffin once and for all. Our friend Ash, who went to college with us, is a huge Pale Moon fan, and she is an apologist for like every card Pale Moon ever got, and even she thinks this sucks. Checkmate, Jin, and Yahtzee, my friends.
That's high praise. The highest praise. So she's the official authority on Pale Moon for you?
I mean, she likes to pretend she is, but I don't listen to her very much. We get in arguments a lot.
Yeah.
You just built her up just to tear her right back down.
Sorry, Ash.
So I have another card from Violet's Deleter.
Oh
What you
boy.
got?
Demonic Hair Stealth Dragon Grenjin. So
Greninja?
No, just Grenjin. So this is this grade 2 9K for Murakumo. And most Murakumo cards are like pretty good. This is not one of those cards. So it has when it attacks on rearguard circle, you can counterblast 2. Do I need to keep going?
Yes.
Alright.
I'm
You can,
intrigued.
you can search your deck for one card named Demonic Hair Stealth Rogue Grenjin, call it to rearguard circle, and then shuffle your deck. And then if you have 3 or more of these idiots on your rearguard circles, and they have to be on rearguard circles, then they get power plus 5,000 till end of turn.
That's all?
Why is
That's
this?
it.
Why is
For
this
the
a
low cost
counterblast
of
too?
3 of them?
Why is it counterblast 2?
That's a good question.
It's because this is back during the time when Excel couldn't have free advantage before
Yeah.
Bro lost
I
time.
would like to just note that this is
No, this dragon.
yeah, this Grenjin guy is a double R. It's just like what?
I mean, to put that in perspective, Lukier gets you up to as many rearguard circles as you have by the same cost plus a discard.
Mm-hmm.
And similar power.
Yeah, it gives
Yep.
you front row 3K. Yeah, it's
This card is so atrocious. Who thought putting counterblast 2 on a rearguard was okay?
Bushy Road. Because aren't there a couple Narukami cards with counterblast 2? Bind system?
Speaking of counterblast, double rares that counterblast 2 for no fucking reason. Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion. So, this is a grade 3 XL, and he is a double R, as I said. So, his skill is you can counterblast 2, Vanguard only, and he gets 5,000 power and a critical. If there are 2 or more rear guards in your opponent's front row, instead of the critical +1, when it attacks, it battles the entire front row.
It's not bad if they have a full front row. You can counterblast 2, pop 2.
just
That's decent.
let the poor bastard keep the critical.
Right? Or give him, like, more power.
How do they manage to make a card worse than the blood?
That's a good question.
I just don't understand.
I had friends back in North Carolina that hyped up the blood back when Cross Rides first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't seeing it, but I respected their hot take.
At least
mean,
the blood is
basic Vermilion-
13k. That's like a whole 1 higher than Vermilion here.
Oh, you're right.
Joe, that's next to Narukami. The blood's coming back. Watch.
Oh yeah. And it's gonna require the old one, so you have to play that.
Counterblast 3 again, too.
Yeah, you don't even have Cho-Oh to like cheat and shove things with Soul.
True.
He
Because
doesn't do that.
Cho-Oh is miles better than Vermilion now, which is funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Gotta-
God forbid Gauntlet Buster Dragon. Let's compare that to Vermilion real quick.
Oh my god.
Let's not bring that card up.
They let the poor bastard not just keep the critical, but get more of them. So
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That'd be for a future episode of cards that are insanely busted for no reason.
I mean, you say it like that, but it's not like he's got guard restrict or restands or anything. It's just
Yeah,
I mean,
but you can still just punch your opponent in the face.
Yeah, he's
for,
just
like-
excel, so you have 5 circles to go along with the fact you wipe their front row. It's nothing. It's cake.
Yeah, whatever.
the wiping
Yeah.
the front row is the bigger thing to me than the crits are. Like the whole crit pressure thing is easy to play around. The having your front row disappear every turn is not. At least
It's
Yeah,
all
but sometimes your opponent just doesn't have a perfect guard and can't guard 22,000 and 3 crits to the face.
Yep, just choke it.
I mean, that's what's called a win condition. That it means they did their job. And, I'm not saying it's not good. It's very good, but far from broken.
Okay, I'll agree. It's not broken.
Yeah.
It could be far more pushed, but it is scary.
Yes, it is very scary. My definition for the term broken is this needs to have something done about it, either by new card releases or by ban list. That's what I say when I mean broken.
Also, in the next set that Narukami was in, we got Thunderbreak Dragon, which could just attack all of your opponents. Also, in the next set that Narukami was in, we got Thunderbreak Dragon, which could just attack all of your opponent's front row if your opponent's Vanguard was grade 3 or greater.
So free.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let the poor bastard keep the critical.
Too good.
Speaking of cards that got outclassed by grade 2s, my other card that I have, because I only came equipped with 2, I wasn't as there's not as many spike cards I'm disappointed by. I'm sure I'll drum up one as we go around the round table. But the card I have coming up now is Unite Attacker. So this card came in set 1, whatever the name it was, Destructive Roar. Took me a second. But this is a grade 3 again, double rare. Act once per turn. Call Soul Blast 7. Look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. Call up to rear guard circle. Put the rest on the bottom. And then 3 of your front row get plus 5,000 to the end of turn. So what I mean by outclassed is that in a different clan, in Neo Nectar, like soon after this, Cecilia came out, which basically did this for a counterblast and then gave the front row plus 10. Granted, it was triple rare, but it was kind of sad to see that Unite Attacker called Soul Blast 7 for spikes when Gathering Soul wasn't extremely easy because you had like Save Free Soul Blasting and Spike Bouncer Soul Blasting to then see Cecilia come out. But then in the spike realm of things, for the low cost of playing Ronaldo, you can get a similar effect to this minus the power for a grade 2. And then if you pair it up with Bull Spike, you can just give your whole front row plus 10 as you spread across the force marker. So this card quickly got outclassed, even 1 or 2 of, maybe, if you're feeling adventurous. But the fact that it was Soul Blast 7 just meant it took a while to get there in a format even back then far outpaced what Unite Attacker could give you. And then you did all the deck thinning with General Safri and like Bracky and them boys, to where by the time you got to Unite Attacker, you may have seen 3 or 4 triggers off top that you didn't want to call because you've thinned your deck out so heavily. And all in all, I was just very sad about Unite Attacker. I played it in premium because it was a body that gave me force more than anything, because grade 3s didn't matter in premium at the time. That's where he shined.
I mean, there are some cards that only work well in premium, like Captain Nightstorm for Grand Blue.
It's true, but the fact that you play this strictly for the body more than the skill, kind of. But the fact that you play this strictly for the body more than the skill, kind of tells you what was most valuable about him.
Yeah, I mean, in Nightstorm's case, it was A for the protect marker and B for the mill, so that you could set up your drop zone. But yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say about Unite Attacker. The card's sad. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad we got what we got now from Raging Tactics. Bull Spike.
You say that, but I have a copy that's been sitting in my trade binder since 2018.
You will never get rid of it.
I will never get rid of it.
You may as well roast a marshmallow on it or something at this point. Put that boy in the kindling and make a fire out in Cali.
I mean, you what? Like we need more fire? That's a good idea.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, just make a bonfire. Make sure you're away from the trees. Make sure you're away from the woods. You don't want to start a national incident. Trees. Make sure you're away from the woods. You don't want to start a national incident. Because that's about all there is to do out there in parts of California is to get drunk and make fires, isn't it?
I mean, I'm in Los Angeles, so all the things that everybody wants to come here for, like, you know.
Drugs.
Someone should just make it like there needs to be like a cha-cha slide for just how much traffic there is.
I've heard tales. I've hardly experienced the traffic out in California. I don't want to experience it.
Okay.
I'll take the word for it.
To put it in perspective, you don't think of distance in the form of like, you know, kilometers or meters or
Or anything like that.
I mean, we're metric. We're USA. What you talking about meters and kilometers?
miles.
This is America.
Sorry, I've been reading a lot about like.
Measure
that
things in
20 minutes
time.
is 4 miles away,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
will take you 20 minutes to get there.
Because Matt lived it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All three of us went to college together at UC Riverside, which is close to LA, but not really.
And I hung out in LA to play card games of various kinds.
Yeah. And
Yes.
Andy crashed one time at my place and got to meet my mom, and it was really weird.
Not talking about that.
That's its own story. I got another.
I need the story. My
No, you know what?
just proof subs require this story. Now that you brought it up,
I'm so sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to do this.
derailed.
To you.
Why?
I'm on the entire podcast for this story. I don't care. I need this story.
Basically, he left the toilet seat up, and my mom like lectured him in the open in the living room in front of God and everybody. Because like it's gotten to the point, like she was like that when I was a kid too, and it's gotten to the point where if I see a toilet seat up, a male, am like, why didn't they put the toilet seat down? Like it's so deeply programmed into me. Shout out to my mom, Celeste.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, important things aside, Armed Instructor Bison is another card I found rather disappointing. Now
That's what we call a segue.
Yeah, just fucking. I'm the master at getting us back on track when we go on tangents, and by that I mean I'm terrible at it. Armed Instructor Bison was a card we got in the Answer of Truth, and it's not that the card is bad. It's just that the support that came out with it just kind of doomed itself. So the still is grade 3 Excel gifts, 12k. On Vanguard, when it attacks, you can counterblast one, and one of your other rear guards gets plus 5k until the end of the turn, and then if he's on Vanguard Circle when you do it, you stand the thing. So the big problem with this card was that you had other cards that were competing for Counterblast at the time. You had Binoculus Tiger and you had Tank Mouse, which were both core pieces of your advantage engine. And then you also had grade 3 space that this was competing with, which was Leopold, the VR, which allowed you to either call a board or you know, get crits when you rode him. And then Hamskay, which I fucking hate, but it allowed you to get 2 free cards from your deck at the cost of discarding 2 cards.
I'm going to put a disclaimer on the front of this episode.
You can just delete the profanity. I'm sorry.
Never. I'm gonna let it sit. I ain't got time to edit this. What you talking about?
I'm sending you the MP3 when this is done. Do whatever you want. But the big problem was that there was no countercharge in that first wave, and this dude being 5k and standing something, especially in a game where 10k triggers exist, just didn't matter. It just wasn't. Yeah, it's like it's too little, too late in its debut appearance, which is not a thing you want to have. It'd be at least a little worth it, or if Grey Nature gets some countercharge in this upcoming set that they're getting, maybe that'll help it. But it's just kind of a
I mean, it's not going to see play anymore with the new stuff now that we know what Isabel or Isabella, whatever the heck her name is, does.
Yeah.
There's going to be Isabel plus Leopold, most likely.
Possibly. I don't know where Hamstay fits into that at all, because getting 2 Excel circles, especially with those being Excel 2, is very good.
He might be his own thing, because doesn't he have some support that kind of like helps you get the ride chain?
Yeah, there's a thing where it's like on play, you Soul Blast, put a card into your soul and draw a card. So you use that to fix the chain, and then you can just go into Hamstay afterward.
That's nuts.
Yeah, no, it's it just kind of got thrown under the bus with everything that was coming out around it. Showing up to like casual Friday, but it's Tuesday. You're like, dude, you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt and it's Tuesday. What are you doing? Like,
it's like that. Hey, what do you do there, kids? That old man meme.
What?
It's like that. I forget the meme. It's like the guy with the skateboard.
Hey there,
over
fellow
show.
kids.
Yeah. That one is that.
Steve Buscemi, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. I'm hoping. So there's like an old card from back in the day named Battle of the Twin Brush Polaris that I loved the art of, and its old skill is kind of reminiscent of Bison still. I'm wondering if they're going to bring that card back, and if they're going to do something with it. Because we still
could, but it seems like they haven't revisited old units with the next wave of stuff yet.
They haven't, but something tells me they might bring it back, because Polaris was a very popular card, despite it being sort of terrible. But
hey, you put some respect.
It was the coolest one.
Yeah, it was great.
Ironically, back in the day, I did use Bison as like a backup grade 3, because his old skills, when something was put in drop in end phase, you countercharged. So you just blow up your stuff. And
I'm not gonna lie, I only played Great Nature when they were like super good with the Leopold reverse.
that was a good time to be Great Nature, because that and the break ride with 12 stand traders, you're like, all right, I attacked for 36, which is huge at the time.
Well, I only played 10, but I understand.
Oh, okay. The 36, and then 11, and then 41, and then like.
I wanted to play 2 crits.
Gotta make them respect the Vanguard swing. I respect that.
I think I did
12K
6
Vanguard swing. Or 11K, sorry.
I think I did 6 stand 2 crit 4 draw, if I'm not mistaken. But that's
what the heck. All right.
That's before I was able to grow a beard, so who knows anymore.
So this card was kind of on the opposite end of the disappointment spectrum.
4 draw, if I'm not mistaken. But that's
what the heck. All right.
That's before I was able to grow a beard, so who knows anymore.
So this card was kind of on the opposite end of the disappointment spectrum. Unlike the previous cards we talked about that were quite bad, which made them disappointing, this one was good, but it just couldn't stand on its own 2 feet, more or less. Am I following correctly?
Yes. It was not the right stuff for the right time.
Yeah.
I guess if it worked on rearguard circle for the restand, it'd actually be worth something, maybe.
That'd be insane.
I think if the 5K was attached to the Vanguard instead of the restanding part, I think it'd be a lot better. And I think it would have been self-balancing, because then you got to choose between it, Binoculus, and Tank Mouse for, counterblast.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say was it that counterblast intensive, since all the skills were once per turn, to not squeeze in Bison?
Binoculus and Tank Mouse was once per turn. Binoculus was just on attack. It's that you needed those things to really like prosecute anything. So, you run out of counterblast pretty quick, and especially in a deck that mills you, there's a very real chance you might just mill your heal trigger away, which, that's your countercharge and the only way to do it.
Okay, I got you.
I don't know. For me, the restand being tied to being on the Vanguard, I think, is what kills it, because there are just better things you could be sitting on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not that Great Nature and Standard really cared about what you were sitting on, it's what you rode. And there's a difference. The other Hamstays would be 12K base, that was it.
I ain't care, I was 13. What you touching?
I mean, if I put it behind Vanguard, I'm hitting 24.
It's fair.
Not that that's great, but it's doing something.
Yeah, it's better than not hitting over 20, not hitting over 13 for 10k shield.
Yep.
So the next card I want to talk about is actually a card that I couldn't appreciate how bad it was until I played until I bought the Dimension Police TD in Vanguard EX. So I really wanted to play Dimension Police in Vanguard EX, so I just bought the Dimension Police TD and was like, all right, how bad could this be? And oh boy, did I ask the wrong question. So the great one of the great threes they had in this deck was called Roaring Beast Audion.
Aldino?
Yeah, Audino, the Pokemon. It has two effects, both of them on Vanguard Circle. The first one is you can Soul Blast a grade 3, put any number of rear guards into your soul, and it gets power plus 5,000 to crit until end of turn for each of those cards. So you put 5 rear guards and give them 25k and 5 criticals, I guess. Hooray, you did it.
Sounds good.
And then when it attacks, you can Soul Blast 3, and until end of the battle, when your opponent would call a card from his or her hand to guard circle, he or she must call 2 or more at the same time. But like, who cares?
Lost for words.
It doesn't even get big enough to stop them from being like heal trigger. Like, it doesn't get big enough.
But if you suck in 5 plus 25 makes it 38. That's at least like a heal plus that's 2 heals to 2 to pass. That's not terrible.
I mean, if you do the battle door still, then the effect is moot. You want to get as low as possible so that dropping 2 cards hurts.
It's so bad. It looks like it could possibly do something right, but then you're like, and the worst part is the eating rear guards is an act. So you can't even like attack with rear guards and then eat them and then like get value. Yeah. You have to eat them during your main phase. It's just like, oh, this card is fucking atrocious. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used that word.
No, you're fine. It's gonna have like I'm not gonna record this. I'm just gonna put it in the description, being like, not for young ears. Beware.
I mean, you could just put an explicit tag.
My crowd isn't used to it. Thanks to Franz. I tried to get this man not to curse, but he just tunnel visioned on his tournament, and it was all bets were off after that.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what happens when you use the F word as a placeholder. It just.
Yeah. I was just shocked about how bad this card was. The other grade 3 in the TD, I believe, was Miracle Beauty, but I just never drew multiples of them.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So it ended up just being really bad.
Speaking of EX, the sheer irony that the two cards that I picked didn't even dawn on me until just now. They were the 2 grade 3s that came in the pre-constructed deck for Spikes. It was legit 4 Wolf, 4 Unite Attacker. Go Amazing. Have fun. I should have did a video on how bad that pre-constructed deck was. The best card was Bracky by a country mile.
That guy's really rare. Well, Bracky is like, he was good at the old times. He's good in the new times. Just always good.
I want to say that Bracky is the best rare. Bracky is the best rare in Vanguard, at least V series wise.
Ooh, that's its own video. You got to do Twitter polls and stuff. That would be like
the best rares in V series.
Yeah, that's like a
Bracky's up there though.
That is
Bracky's up.
Yeah. That is a Dagwood sandwich of content right there.
I've been playing a fair bit of Spikes on EX, and every time I draw Bracky, I'm happy.
Yeah, Bracky is evergreen a card as there is right now for Spikes. Like, you start your deck off in Spikes, it's like 4 Bracky, then you build the rest of your deck around it. But yeah, that's a different video for a different day. We'll cross that bridge another time. Who knows? I might hop on to the Nexus and Night podcast again to flesh this animal out.
Oh yes, please do. But that's after the multi-hour meta discussion of Doom.
I'm sorry about that.
Which, depending when this comes out, we're in the middle of that right now. I'll explain more at the end though. Did you have another one, Proof?
For me, not really. I guess it's kind of one that aids
now.
What?
Huh?
Are we just ignoring my existence now? You skipped right over me, Atlas.
Oh shit. And I made all that talk about how he was essential, and I forgot him. What have I done?
Ruined this man's whole career.
Yep.
I know. Anyway,
Go ahead, root beer.
going back way to the first V set, this is going to be a hot take according to Atlas, but Silent Tom, with the caveat that it is good in premium. So, Silent Tom is a 9k grade 2 that says, auto Vanguard rearguard circles. When placed, you can counterblast one and have it gain until end of turn. And then continuous Vanguard rearguard. During a pilot attack the Vanguard, your opponent can't call normal units to guard circle from hand.
Yeah, it's rough in standard times because who cares about normal unit guard and Silent Time when all your triggers are fat?
I know. But even in the first set, when no one had particularly good card advantage, this card didn't do a whole lot. And then you had to pay for the power plus 6,000, and it only works when placed, so this card was just a vanilla 9k most of the time because no one cares about dropping normal units.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Itchy being what she was, Silent Time would not have seen any play in premium side either. So it is kind of ho-hum when you think about it.
I'm pretty sure you just dropped this card for Rectangle Megas when that set.
It's kind of ho-hum when you think about it.
I'm pretty sure you just dropped this card for Rectangle Megas when that set came out.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that card in standard since. Well, that's not true. Some people have played it, but those decks I wasn't afraid of after I saw Silent Time come down.
Yeah, I think people might have teched one or two Silent Toms just because they had to keep playing Imperial Daughter during the second wave of support. I think now that Tsukuyomi is a thing, you just don't have space for it anymore because you need the grade 2 Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, that's true. I feel bad for Silent Time. I enjoyed OG Silent Time, aka what was the dude's name from Breaking Bad? Walter White. Yeah. With the white background, Silent Time pointing the gun at people. He looked just like him.
Mm-hmm. And then
one of my friends is an artist. One of my friends is an artist. He actually drew that image on Silent Time. It was very, very good, very good.
Mm. And also, like, in the same set, we had Promised Daughter and Victorious Deer as the double R's. So, Deer was your win condition. You Soul Blast 2 grade 3 to check top 7, reveal 2 crits, and put them at the top of your deck and return the rest of the bottom. And 6 of your unit gets 10,000 power. And then Promised Daughter just got 6,000 power for free if you have 4 or more cards in your hand. And it could not be retired by opponent's card effect, so this card just single-handedly made Shadow Paladin not exist, aside from having protect gifts.
I was gonna say, you make that sound like that was a thing, but it really, really didn't matter. The Shadow Paladin thing.
I mean, it's like, Protect already made Shadow Paladin not exist. This is kind of another thing to laugh at Shadow Paladin about.
Yeah.
That matchup was still pretty close, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like around the time this card came out, I had like a scheduling conflict with these two for Nexus at Night. So I was like, I don't want to skip a week. So I tried to do it Mark Maron style, just by myself. And it is one of the worst episodes that has ever been done by our podcast because I cannot carry it by myself. It's 20 minutes long, and the entire time, if you can hear sweat, that's where you'd be able to hear it, I think.
Yeah, I kind of have to go back and listen to find that one.
It's called An Unkind Landscape. I forgot which episode number.
Maybe that's for the best.
Yeah, just go to our website, Control F, Unkind Landscape, and yeah, enjoy, I guess.
Yeah.
Guess what fucking set that's from? I said the F word again.
Vilest?
Vilest the leader, yet again.
Destructive Roar?
Weird.
No, I mean, Destructive Roar didn't have that many bad cards in it, though.
No.
Yeah.
I think kind of covered the main bad one.
Yeah. So Misdirection was a triple R, which makes this even more annoying. where 9K grade 2, and her still is on Vanna Rear. When placed from hand, which it gets worse. You can counterblast 1 and put a grade 1 or less rear guard into your soul. Draw 2 cards and put a card from your hand into your soul. Okay.
Wait, what?
Let's review. So, we're playing a clan that focuses on calling cards from soul. And the first line of the skill says when placed from hand. We're already off to a bad start. Counterblast 1. Okay, that's fine. Put a grade 1 or less rear guard into soul. 2 cards. Good. And then put a card from your hand into your soul. Why? Like, nothing has been gained.
It's a massive wash.
Yeah, you lose the... Okay, so because it's from hand, you lose the misdirection from hand. You lose the rear guard, so that's 2. Minus 2, 2 from hand and field. Draw 2, so you're at a 0, and then put a card from hand to soul. So, it's basically a minus, depending on your way of looking at it. What?
But why is this card?
I don't know. Okay, if they had just cut 1 to 2 of those things aside from the counterblast, it wouldn't be a bad card at all. If it was when called from anywhere, fine. You could use it as like your last call and then like try and get some of your, your hand back, like after you've finished doing your attacks. If it didn't do the grade 1 or less rear guard into soul, it would just be like a cycling card, which would be fine. If it didn't put the card from hand into soul, it would be a plus. But it's all of those things. When combined the card from hand into soul, it would be a plus. But it's all of those things when combined together. It's like, I don't think Bono and the Edge and the rest of the band are bad people by themselves per se. But when you get them together, they become U2.
It's kind of like Gary Gannon, but you keep the card on the board.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Except Gary Gannon doesn't cost a counterblast plus another card.
I mean, the best part about Gary Gannon is putting triggers back in your deck sometimes.
Yeah.
True.
Also, his name is Gary, and Gary is an inherently funny name.
True.
R.I.P. my dead neighbor Gary.
R.I.P. Gary.
So, I want to talk about the most disappointing triple R experience I've ever had in this game.
This isn't the most disappointing triple R experience?
No. For me personally.
Okay, got it.
So there's a notorious...
Triple R experience?
No. For me personally.
Okay, got it.
So there's a notorious... So, I played Dimension Police for a pretty long time. And the most disappointing set for Dimension Police was BT-13 Catastrophic Outbreak. It featured such hits as Great Dayusha Reverse.
Oh god.
And probably the worst triple R and SP that you could ever open in a booster pack. This card is called Original Saver Zero. It was a break ride for Dimension Police that when you run Road Upon, when it's run Road Upon, it gets 10k to the new unit. And it gives your opponent's Vanguard minus 5k, which is kind of the same as just giving your front row an additional 5k. And then when it boosted, it just like gets 2k. Or when it was boosted, it got 2k. That was it. That was the entire effect. This was a triple R for some reason.
Well, I mean, this is back in Break Ride, and the gets 2k when boosted. That's kind of what everything else did. So,
but here's the other problem, right? The other Break Ride for Dimension Police that came in the TD already existed.
Daikaiser
already existed.
And was easier to get.
Yeah, was easier to get because it came in a TD, so people already had them because people just bought 4 of them.
Yeah. Dark times. Having to buy 4 child decks to get 4 Daikaiser.
Right?
I remember that. That was not fun.
I got a deal on them. That's what happened.
Man, I dropped $60 on that. I was not a happy camper.
Yep. And Daikaiser broke the rules of the game.
Yeah.
The guy was like, I'm not going to follow rules. And they released this thing. And not only that, but the rest of the cards in this set were so terrible. Like, the best card for Dimension Police that came out of this set was the Dimensional Robo PG.
This set here broke my spirit on getting into cases because I went in on a half case with some people and I got the Dimension Police split and I dropped $100 on this and I got like maybe like 2 or 3 reverse Dayusha which was like $5 a pop at most or something like that.
Right.
While my friend who went in on Link Joker got all types of Chaos Breaker stuff, and he got it at like Breaker stuff, and he got it at like a quarter of the value of what it was worth because we all split this set. Right. It was so not worth. After this, I started going into more singles and focusing more on spikes and stuff like that. Kind of broke my spirit.
Yeah, this set, I think like my friends felt so bad for me. They gave me the SP. So there was a 1 per case SP you could open in this set that was like a Chibi Amaterasu. They gave me that, and they gave me the Nubatama cards.
Just out
because they were like, just take it, dude.
Just out of pity.
Because all I wanted was Dimension Police of Great Nature. Both of which were worth almost nothing at the time when on release.
Yep.
And like, so they're just like, just take it. And I really like the Great Nature stuff in this set. That was the saving grace for me in this set, was the Great Nature cards.
There was some good stuff in there, for sure.
Like, Leopold Reverse, like, as disappointing as, like, cards like Original Saver Zero, I would have just been heartbroken. I'd been like, why is this card SP?
And Matt's heartbroken about lots of stuff all the time, so...
That's true. But this was, like... This was kind of the most disappointing Dimension Police experience of Vanguard for me.
That's fair. I'm right there with you because I was playing Dimension Police around this time too.
Yeah,
I was there. It was sad times. I think I was playing Dimension Police heavily because I really liked robots and I liked what Commander Laurel did. And then I had this experience with BT-13, and then I think after that I played like one more tournament with like Proxy. Great Die Kaiser just because of triple drive and stuff like that. And then I sold the deck to some people up here in Connecticut. Once I moved up here, I was done with it. I had to wash my hands of the entire clan.
Fair enough.
So before we wrap up, I did want to talk about one card. So kind of thought of it just now, but basically he's a grade 1 8K double rare from Destructive Roar. And at the time, I was disappointed that he was a double rare because I didn't like the idea that he gave up a card from hand. But now that the new stuff is out and I'm seeing how much of a tempo swing he can be and what he can do, he really improved a lot in my eyes in terms of early aggression and because it can feed Bull Spike. But what he does is on place on Vanguard or Rearguard, put a card from your hand in the soul, look at the top cards of your deck equal to your Vanguard's grade, call one, it gets plus 5,000, and then the rest go to the bottom. So basically he's a pseudo 13k booster for a turn, which is pretty legit, pretty clean for an early aggressive type of deck that Spikes kind of lean towards. And then you kind of have all these an early aggressive type of deck that Spikes kind of lean towards. And then you kind of have all these small, I guess, I don't want to call them microtransactions, but you have like these small things that can help recoup card advantage for you, like Punter or Gary Gannon if you play it, that it makes the cost from hand not feel so heavy while still being aggressive, that he kind of opened up my eyes to how good he can be over time when initially I was disappointed in him. So shout out to Gyroslinger for getting better with time like a fine wine. He's a good boy.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good success with that card as well. And the 5k he gives is like super nice. Like much nicer than I'd expect.
Especially early.
Especially if you ride offensive punter. Because like whatever, I'm getting this card back anyway, so do whatever you want to with the card I call off of Gyroslinger here.
I just call anything that comes.
Or not call off of Gyroslinger if you play him. To me, it's a silly thing to look at the top card, see it's a trigger, and then be like, I don't want to call this because it's going to go to the bottom anyway. Yeah. You're not going to see that card for the longest time, if ever.
In worst case, you just eat
that
trigger.
The trigger is just a free it's just a free booster. Like, why not?
Yeah, it comes down as a 10k for a turn. So if you're going second, it's going to hit for 18k if it's being boosted by Gyroslinger, so it hits over a trigger on your opponent's side.
Yeah, it's always 18k column, always, every time.
Yep, and then it feeds Bull Spike. It can leave some trash on the board for Bat and Dragger to clean up later. It's not nice little ditty.
Yeah, I like it.
I have a meme one, if you'll let me do that.
Sure.
All right. So, I don't know. Do you guys remember a little set called Divide Dragon Caper?
Oh
Vaguely.
boy.
Yes, I was going to bring this up. Actually,
GVT09.
I was about to transition to this after Matt was done, and then I got cut off again.
Root beer, you can have it. You can have it. Just.
I was going to talk about fucking VMAX.
Oh,
so...
I was thinking of something else, but yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so VMAX is a stride, grade 4. So he says GB3 Thunderstrike 5. You have to counterblast 2, and at the end of the battle that this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your opponent has no rear guards, you can pay the cost and damage your opponent's Vanguard. So this does not have the 5 damage restriction, which is nice. And then when it's Vanguard. So this does not have the 5 damage restriction, which is nice. And then when it attacks the Vanguard, you can choose your opponent's rearguard circle for each face-up card with Vanquisher in its name in your G zone. And this unit battles the Vanguard and all the chosen units in one attack. So the problem with this at the time was that Narukami just couldn't make Thunderstrike 5 very easily. Like, a lot of decks were hit-and-run type of decks that could just get rid of their rearguards quickly, and then Vanquisher itself was really slow. And especially at the time, the only Vanquisher stride was Voltage, which was your finisher. So having to dump a Voltage early to get not a whole lot out of it, and then this card maybe could win you the game, potentially, if you were lucky enough to even have Thunderstrike 5 by your second stride. Like, it has age not past being just a medium tier card.
I tried Narukami in Premium briefly, and the main problem was that it never quite got the card advantage needed to really, like, get going after turn 3 or so. But there were instances where if I, like, opened up really well and was super aggressive, and then you G-guard, you go into this on your first stride, and then you can use it to just cut the game off right there. But that's, like, super specific. It's not the best.
Honestly, like, set 9 in general was pretty bad for Narukami. Yeah. Like, the G-guard also was really mediocre. Bulwark Dragon, so... Yeah. Thunderstrike 3 gets shield plus 10,000, that was okay, and then when it is retired from the guard circle, for every 4 cards in your opponent's bind zone, you can choose up to 1 rested rear guard in your opponent's front row and retire it. And retire the attacking unit.
Yeah, but Kagero was pushed, so you being little brother dragon, you kind of have to take what you got.
All right. What was your meme card, Atlas?
So, if anybody watched the Vanguard G anime, the guy who played this card went into him literally every game, whether it was good, like the best option for that turn or not. Drag Driver Luard.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
Why does nobody understand me? So, just Ritual 3, so if you have 3 or more grade 1 cards and drop on Van, when it's placed on Vanguard, you Soul Blast and choose a face-down card in G-Zone and turn it face-up, so him or anything else. If you do that, you search your deck for up to the same number of grade 1 cards as the number of face-up Drag Driver Luards in your G-Zone. Call them to separate rear, and they get plus 1k for each grade 1 face-up Drag Driver Luards in your G-Zone. Call them to separate rear, and they get plus 1k for each grade 1 in your drop zone until end of turn. This would be good if it was somebody's stride skill, not if it was the stride. Like, you know, I'm gonna make this field, and then what?
Suffer.
Stuff? I don't know. Like, I was just...
They sure do get really big.
There was even this... The one thing that does it for me is there's this one fight where the character who uses this card is going up against his big brother who's been, like, possessed in the story. And he's like, I'm like, this is the turn, I turn it all around, I'm gonna beat you. And it's this, like, all the epic music is playing, and he's setting up his board. And there's even a part where, like, it cuts to him and he looks at his field that he's assembled and he's like, you all came for me. at his field that he's assembled, and he's like, "You all came for me. Let's go!" And then they go attack him, and then he just guards it all, and he loses because this card is trash. Not that Shadow Paladin's bad, just this particular stride was the cover card of the set, and it was so nothing.
Yeah. It'd be like that sometimes.
The guy who plays this card lost to Kanzaki using the Claret stride, though.
I mean, Kanzaki deserves to win in whatever fight he's in because he's just so freaking determined.
He's so awesome. He's the best character in the anime.
Something like that. One of the most popular tweets we ever did from the Nexus at Night Twitter was the picture of him in the new anime going, "Weakness is a sin," and then I put Peter Griffin from Family going, "He said it! He said it!"
I saw that.
That was good.
Good reminiscing on poor times and not feeling good about some of the cards we had back in the day.
I mean, there's actually one in that very set for you guys.
I'm terrible with sets and
Great.
Was it Dudley?
Supernova stride.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking of, but there's a stride that's worse than that. There's Ellie Geronimo.
We're just gonna keep topping each other until we run out of cards, I think.
Until I fall asleep on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say every OTT stride prior to Ichikishima?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Blanket.
That's a nice way to round it out. Every spike stride except for Picaro, Agrius, and Hellheart 8, because the rest of them didn't really matter by and large.
I mean, they both did like good things
Geronimo,
at different stages. Not Geronimo.
Geronimo was egregiously bad. Like it wanted to be good, but it was so very bad. I don't even remember off the top of my head what it does. I need to look this boy up. I don't want to sign into the Wikia. What you talking about?
I have the effect here if you want me to read it.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Act
badness.
Counterblast 1, turn a copy of him face up. You have a hard card with Dudley, so already we're off to a bad start. Until the end of the turn, this unit gets red text. When your rear guard attacks, that unit gets plus 5k for the battle. And then at the end of the battle, put that unit on the bottom of your deck. Then, if the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, until the end of the turn, this unit gets, your rear guards can attack the Vanguard from the back row.
Yep. Trash.
Almost good.
It wanted to be good.
Yeah.
If it was like a 10k buff,
yeah,
then we'd be in business, especially during that time with 10k shields across the board minus G guards.
Can we just pretend?
I mean, outside of Dudley Lindsay, who's only good because she can be searched out because of jelly beans, the rest of the Dudley cards don't really, and the grade 2s because they help rides. But beyond that, the rest of the Dudleys may as well not exist in this world.
All right, let's just pretend Dudley grade 3s don't exist.
Ah, now we're talking. This card, it was like bad after image stuff. Like attacking from back row is nice and all until you realize that you can hardly ever hit over 14,000 or 15,000 unless you're playing back row Dudleys, which even then you'd still be in for like 16,000 because we're in an 11k world. It was all in all just very bad, not fun. It was trash. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm getting sad. Supernova was another one that was pretty mediocre. But at least he was free, which helped him come to prominence. When Damage Deny came about, especially with Geese. So he found his little niche there. So all in all, pretty bad card, but it has some purpose. So give it like a D minus, D grade or something like that. But since we are over an hour, I think this would be a good place to cut it off in case you guys have any other cards you want to talk about briefly.
No, I've kind of hit the pinnacle with Drag Driver Luard.
I got nothing left. I think I've emptied the tank on sad cards for now. I'm sure I'll like dream of some here and there. What about you guys?
again, didn't he?
My mom came in. Am I muted right now?
No, you're
not.
good. You're good.
Okay. I was muted that entire time up until now
Oh, okay.
because my mom came in.
We
So
could have had Mama Root Beer on the podcast. I wouldn't have minded.
yeah, I'm still alive.
Well,
I don't have.
we're getting ready. We're in the middle of wrapping up.
Yeah, I think there's always gonna be disappointing rarity cards somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You're just gonna open up this pack and be like, but why?
Yeah, and then that'll be the time we can revisit this for part 2 down the line.
Right. And then there are some cards that just do the opposite. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
There are some cards that are just like, why is this so low rarity?
Yeah.
that would be called the Broken Common Club.
Hard legs.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Did you ever give me credit for the Broken Common Club?
Why is this so low rarity?
Yeah.
That would be called the Broken Common Club.
Hard legs.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Did you ever give me credit for the Broken Common Club?
I think we did. I can't remember when we first brought it up on the podcast, though.
Actually, I think you may have. It's been a while. It's been a couple years.
Yeah.
You guys have been doing this way better than I have in terms of consistency.
Aw.
Shout out to you guys for that.
You're so nice. Thank you.
Anything, we are consistent.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we are consistent.
It's funny, on our website, the description is a semi-often podcast. I'm like, we've been doing this pretty much every week for 3 or more years at this point.
Yeah. Doing a weekly podcast is something I wanted to do, but I always preferred doing it with my friends in person, but then life happens, so I got busy on the weekends.
It's hard
So
to do in person,
it is hard.
especially for a podcast that involves in person, and the amount of coordination because other people have autonomy and lives and things that they have to do. It makes it very hard to like juggle all
those dang lives.
Yeah, those dang rich inner lives with stories and rent to pay and jobs to go to that makes it very hard to coordinate.
True. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap it up here. Thanks. Shout outs to the NexusCorps guys for joining me. I really appreciate them taking time to come chat with me again. Hope you guys enjoyed them. Go check them out. Where can they find you guys?
You can find me at Atlas Novak on Twitter or Instagram. I'm also starting a new podcast called Bad Reading. It is a podcast where we get a guest who is a fan of a book, movie, or TV show, and we read them the worst fan fiction who is a fan of a book, movie, or TV show, and we read them the worst fan fiction that we can find for that particular IP. That'll be dropping November 22nd. I'll plug the hell out of it on the Nexus stuff. You can also find our podcast, Nexus at Night, on Twitter, Instagram, or the NexusCorps YouTube channel.
Find me at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs on Twitter.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse. I do the arts and retweet it with the Nexus at Night Twitter to shamelessly show myself.
I mean,
Hey, I can respect that.
I was gonna say, like, it's literally never been a problem.
Thank you guys again. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I would like to do these more often, but as I said, it's harder to chat over, especially late at night because it's almost midnight for me. So it will be fairly infrequent, but boy, look out for more content down the line. And until the next one, peace.